En la clase de hoy vamos a aprender inglés de una manera sencilla y divertida. Vamos a escuchar y leer 4 historias diferentes en inglés. La idea es que te vayas familiarizando con el idioma, escuchando y leyendo todo en inglés. Todas las palabras que no entiendas, escríbelas en tu cuaderno para posteriormente traducirlas. Verás que si eres constante con este método, verás grandes resultados. Sin nada más que decir, comencemos.
In a small town called Greenhope, people lived in harmony with nature. However, over time, the community began to notice that their environment was deteriorating. The rivers were polluted, the forests were filled with trash, and the animals were starting to disappear. The situation became so dire that the inhabitants decided to take drastic measures to save their home. In the center of the town lived a young man named Lucas, who had always felt a deep connection with nature. Lucas spent his days exploring the nearby forests and rivers, and he was saddened to see how trash and pollution were destroying the environment he loved so much. One day, while walking through the forest, Lucas found an old book titled The Great Awakening of the Earth. Fascinated, he began to read and discovered that the book contained stories about how communities around the world had saved their environments through recycling and conservation. Inspired by the stories in the book, Lucas decided it was time to act. He gathered his friends and told them about the importance of recycling and caring for the environment. Together, they began organizing cleanup campaigns in the town and educating the inhabitants on how to reduce, reuse, and recycle. Lucas and his friends created recycling stations at different points in the town and taught people how to properly separate their waste. The impact of their efforts was soon noticeable. The rivers began to clear, the forests regained their greenery, and the animals returned to their habitats. The community of Greenhope united around the cause of recycling and conservation, and soon became an example for other nearby communities. One day, while Lucas and his friends were picking up trash in the forest, they found a mysterious box buried under a tree. Upon opening it, they discovered it contained seeds of different plants and trees, along with a note that said, "For those who care for the earth, here are the seeds of the future." Lucas and his friends decided to plant the seeds in an area of the forest that had been particularly affected by deforestation. Over time, the seeds sprouted and grew into a beautiful forest full of life. The community of Greenhope continued to work together to keep their environment clean and healthy. Lucas became a respected leader, and his story inspired many other people to take action to protect the environment. The success of Greenhope did not go unnoticed. Soon, other communities began visiting the town to learn about their recycling and conservation practices. Lucas and his friends became environmental ambassadors, traveling to different places to share their knowledge and experiences. As the years passed, the impact of Lucas and his community's actions was felt around the world. People began to understand the importance of recycling and caring for the environment, and many communities adopted sustainable practices. Lucas knew that the work would never end, but he also knew that every small effort counted and that together they could make a big difference. The story of Greenhope and the Great Awakening of the Earth became a legend, reminding everyone that the power to change the world is in our hands. With determination, cooperation, and love for nature, we can protect our planet for future generations. In the bustling city of Central City, the police department had a special unit known as the K9 unit. This unit was composed of brave German shepherds who worked alongside their human partners to maintain safety and order. Among these brave dogs, 2 stood out in particular: Rex and Max. Rex was a 5-year-old German shepherd known for his sharp intelligence and incredible sense of smell. He had been trained since he was a puppy to detect drugs and explosives and had participated in numerous successful operations. His human partner, Officer Martinez, fully trusted Rex's abilities and considered the dog his best friend and work companion. Max, on the other hand, was a 4-year-old German Shepherd specialized in search and rescue. Alongside his partner, Officer Garcia, Max had saved many lives by finding missing persons in disaster situations. Max was known for his bravery and his ability to remain calm under pressure. One day, the K9 unit received an emergency call. There had been an explosion in a downtown building, and it was feared that people were trapped under the rubble. The unit mobilized immediately, and Rex and Max were brought to the disaster site. Upon arrival, Rex and Officer Martinez began searching for additional explosives to ensure the area was safe for rescuers. Rex carefully sniffed through the debris, guiding Martinez to a spot where he detected a suspicious odor. With the help of explosives experts, they found and disarmed a second device, preventing a greater tragedy. Meanwhile, Max and Officer Garcia joined the search and rescue teams. Max used his keen sense of smell to locate a woman trapped under a pile of rubble. With persistent barking, Max guided the rescuers to the exact spot. The woman was rescued and taken to the hospital, where she recovered thanks to Max's quick intervention. The operation continued for hours, with Rex and Max working tirelessly alongside their human partners. The coordination between the dogs and the officers was crucial to the mission's success. By the end of the day, many lives had been saved, and a greater disaster had been averted. Back at the station, the officers and the dogs were welcomed as heroes. The police chief praised the K9 unit for their bravery and dedication. Rex and Max are shining examples of what it means to be a true hero, the chief said. Their work not only saves lives, but also strengthens our community's trust in the police. Rex and Max received special awards for their bravery, and Officers Martinez and Garcia couldn't be prouder of their 4-legged partners. The story of Rex and Max became an inspiration for everyone in Central City, reminding everyone of the importance of teamwork and bravery. Over time, Rex and Max continued to serve in the K9 unit, participating in many more missions and saving countless lives. Their legacy endured, and their story was told over and over again as an example of dedication and heroism. The German Shepherds of Central City's K9 unit proved that with bravery and teamwork, the greatest challenges could be overcome. In the vast and icy lands of the Arctic, there lived a young polar bear named Nanook. Since he was a cub, Nanook had heard his grandfather's stories about the times when ice was abundant and polar bears could easily hunt seals. However, over the years, Nanook had noticed that the ice melted faster each summer and hunting became increasingly difficult. One day, while exploring the edge of the sea ice, Nanook found a group of polar bears gathered in an assembly. Curious, he approached to listen. The leader of the group, an old bear named Siku, was talking about the need to adapt to the changes in their environment. "We must learn new ways to survive," Siku said. "The ice is disappearing, and we must find new sources of food and shelter." Inspired by Siku's words, Nanook decided to embark on a journey to discover how other Arctic animals were adapting to the changes. His first destination was a walrus colony. The walruses, with their large tusks and robust bodies, had adapted to spending more time on land due to the lack of ice. Nanook observed how they used their tusks to dig in the sand and find clams, their main food source. After spending a few days with the walruses, Nanook continued his journey and arrived at an island where Arctic foxes lived. These small and cunning animals had changed their diet to include more birds and eggs, as lemmings, their usual prey, had become scarce. Nanook was impressed by the fox's ability to quickly adapt to new conditions. Nanook's next destination was a region where humans had established a research station. Although he was cautious at first, Nanook realized that the scientists posed no threat. He observed how they studied the ice and climate patterns and how they worked to find solutions to the problem of global warming. Nanook learned that humans were also concerned about the future of the Arctic and were looking for ways to help. During his journey, Nanook also met other polar bears who had found ingenious ways to adapt. Some had learned to fish instead of hunting seals, while others had started exploring areas further south in search of food. Nanook realized that the key to surviving in a changing world was adaptability and cooperation. Finally, after months of traveling, Nanook returned home. He shared his experiences and knowledge with his family and friends, who welcomed him enthusiastically. Together, they began to implement new strategies to survive in the changing Arctic. Nanook became a respected leader, and his story inspired other polar bears to adapt and thrive. As the years passed, Nanook saw his community grow stronger and more united than ever. Although the ice continued to diminish, the polar bears in his region had learned to face the challenges with courage and creativity. Nanook knew that the future of the Arctic was uncertain, but he also knew that with determination and cooperation, polar bears could find a way to survive. On the outskirts of a small town called Green Valley, there was an animal shelter known as Hope. This shelter had been founded by Clara, a woman passionate about animal welfare. From a young age, Clara had felt a deep connection with animals and had dedicated her life to rescuing and caring for them. The Hope Shelter was not just a place where animals found a temporary home, but also a rehabilitation and adoption center. Clara and her team of volunteers worked tirelessly to ensure that each animal received the care and love it needed. The shelter housed dogs, cats, rabbits, birds, and even some farm animals that had been abandoned or mistreated. Each day at the shelter began early. Clara and the volunteers divided the tasks, feeding the animals, cleaning their spaces, and providing medical attention. One of the most recent cases was Max, a German shepherd who had been found injured on the road. Clara had brought him to the shelter and, with the help of the veterinarian, had started his treatment. Max was a brave dog and, despite his pain, always wagged his tail when he saw Clara. Another notable resident of the shelter was Luna, a white cat with blue eyes who had been abandoned in a box at the shelter's door. Luna was shy at first, but with time and the volunteers' affection, she began to trust humans again. Clara knew Luna would find a loving home soon. The shelter also organized community events to promote adoption and awareness about animal welfare. One Saturday a month, Clara organized an open house where families could visit the shelter, meet the animals, and learn about the importance of responsible adoption. These events were very popular and often resulted in successful adoptions. One day, during one of these open houses, a family came to the shelter looking to adopt a dog. Clara introduced them to Max, who was now recovered and full of energy. The family fell in love with him instantly and decided to adopt him. Clara felt a mix of joy and sadness as she said goodbye to Max, but she knew he had found the perfect home. The work at the shelter was not always easy. There were days when Clara felt overwhelmed by the number of animals needing help and the limited resources. However, every time she saw an animal find a loving home, she felt that all the effort was worth it. The volunteers shared this passion and worked together like a big family. Over time, the Hope Shelter became a symbol of hope and compassion in the community. Clara continued to work tirelessly, always looking for new ways to help animals and educate people about the importance of animal welfare. She knew that although she couldn't save all the animals in the world, each life she rescued made a difference.
Espero de todo corazón que esta clase te haya gustado. Si es así, regálame un like y suscríbete al canal, que en verdad me ayudarías bastante. Y para todos los estudiantes que se quedaron hasta el final, les tengo un regalo. Debajo de este video encontrarán una clase de inglés desde cero totalmente gratuita. El link para esta clase estará en la descripción del video o en el comentario fijado. También te recomiendo que veas este otro video donde aprenderás inglés con una historia muy interesante, súper divertida. Entonces te espero ahí, no te lo puedes perder.